Every morning, millions wake with fear that they will be judged not by their character, but by their skin color or family name. This fear is the shadow of racism, a belief system so powerful it can shatter confidence and split communities. Racism is, at its core, a profound attack on universal values of human rights and a deliberate attempt to destroy our sense of a shared humanity. What is racism? Racism is hatred or prejudice towards people because of their race, ethnicity, nationality, or origin. It treats racial or ethnic identity as a mark of superiority or inferiority, creating a false hierarchy of people. In practice, racism can be personal, a hateful act by one person, or systemic, laws, institutions, or media that favor one group over another. Racism isn't always a violent attack. It often appears in subtle, everyday moments. A child might be mocked for their curly hair or dark skin. A job seeker passed over because of their accent. A family watched suspiciously in a store. These everyday insults and slights build up over time. As Britannica notes, the lived experience of racism includes acts of physical violence, daily insults, and frequent acts and verbal expressions of contempt and disrespect. Even when unspoken, these moments erode trust and belonging. Victims may feel they must work twice as hard for the same respect. As one Black student observed, "Like many young Black people, I internalized the idea that I would have to be twice as good to get half as much respect." Racist ideas have dark historical roots. In the 18th and 19th centuries, false theories of race justified slavery and colonial conquest. Leaders claimed Africans were lesser to rationalize the Atlantic slave trade. By the 20th century, racism fueled some of history's worst atrocities: the Nazis' genocide of Jews and others, and South Africa's system of apartheid. As the Cornell Law School Encyclopedia explains, the term racism itself gained popularity in this era to describe the Atlantic slave trade, the Nazi regime, apartheid, and U.S. segregation. In each case, people in power used racist ideas to justify cruelty, laws, and violence. Endless research confirms that racism inflicts serious harm on its victims. Chronic exposure to discrimination is linked to higher rates of depression, anxiety, and substance abuse among targeted groups. Physically, the stress of racism can even raise blood pressure and heart disease risk. Psychologists describe this as racism's insidious effect on daily life, eroding well-being from the inside out. Socially, racism frays the fabric of society. Those who suffer racism often report deep shame, lowered self-esteem, and strained relationships. As Britannica notes, acts of contempt and disrespect have profound effects on self-esteem and social relationships. Economically, racism can block opportunity. Across the world, families from persecuted groups often face higher unemployment and fewer chances for education, trapping communities in cycles of poverty. For example, Black Americans earn far less on average than whites and face higher unemployment rates. These gaps are not due to ability, but to prejudice in hiring, policing, and schooling. Even after decades of struggle, racism persists because false beliefs and biases can be stubborn. Many adults grew up hearing stereotypes and can carry them unconsciously into adulthood. Power structures can also perpetuate racism. In some places, laws and institutions were built on racist assumptions and change only slowly. For example, although the idea of biological race is now discredited, its legacy lingers in textbooks, policies, and social attitudes. UNESCO reports that today, 38% of reported discrimination cases worldwide are attributed to race, more than any other factor. This statistic shows just how widespread the problem remains. Economics and politics play a role too. During hard times, people looking for someone to blame may scapegoat minorities. And when those in power benefit from division, there is little incentive to push for equality. Despite this, the story is not hopeless. History shows that committed people can change racist systems. In 1948, the United Nations declared that all human beings are born free and equal, adopting the Universal Declaration of Human Rights to condemn racial discrimination. Soon after, civil rights movements around the world fought unfair laws and won progress. For example, U.S. civil rights laws in the 1950s to 60s and the end of South African apartheid in the 1990s. Education and awareness are powerful tools. UNESCO emphasizes that teaching about our common humanity and about the true history of racism can prevent hate before it takes root. Schools, books, films, and conversations that show the harm of racism and the value of diversity help build empathy. Communities and individuals play a role too. Speaking out against a racist joke, supporting a neighbor from a different background, or learning about one's own unconscious biases can each make a difference. Small actions, listening respectfully, standing up for fairness, connecting across differences, gradually shift culture. Leaders, businesses, and governments must act as well, enforcing anti-discrimination laws, diversifying workplaces, and creating platforms for underrepresented voices. When institutions admit there's a problem and take concrete steps, others follow suit. Even the UN warns racism and discrimination are not inevitable if we commit to change. Racism thrives in silence and ignorance, but it falters under truth and unity. Every person has a responsibility to notice and challenge racism, whether it appears in a headline or a quiet classroom moment. The road is long, but the destination is clear. A world where no one is judged by their color or creed. We remember that the notion of biological race is a myth, and that most human societies have concluded that racism is wrong. Ending racism starts with us, by choosing understanding over fear, respect over prejudice, and hope over hatred. Together, we can turn the page from discrimination to dignity, ensuring that our shared humanity triumphs.